So let's go to our first question on vectors. So this question is very interesting because you apply the direction of vectors. Now, let's read the question. Four component forces act on an object as shown in figure 1.0. Determine the resultant of four forces acting on the object. So how can we determine the resultant? Remember which I explained the first video. So remember what I explained the first video on vectors. I said vectors you can add according to you need to make it into component in x and y component. So vectors you can't go direct like 80 plus 100 plus 110 plus 160. No, vectors we add into we add components, x component with x component, y component with the y component. After that, then we'll do the resultant for those components, even the direction. And the direction I said is just what? The theta. Now, I like this question because there are many directions. There, the first tip, it is 80. Yes. So what should we do here? So identify, how can you find the component? I said to find the component is if you say vector, I will just what I will do is so that I can know how I'm answering. I'll just give the name for each forces. So I'll just give this one tend to be force A, so that it will help me to answer. This will be force B, then this will be for C, then this will be for C, D. So it will help me to identify those. So the first thing there, I need to use this for 110. How can I find? I'll say because the formula to find x component, we say if we are saying that vector for A, so we say the component for the resultant for component of A, x. The formula we use, it is R. So we are dealing with forces. So we do force cos theta. Then if we are doing for y component, we just do the same. F sin what? Sin theta. Now here the challenge comes in, it is to identify. So the challenge which comes in is to identify the angle or the theta which we're going to use to replace here. Because we how do we get the theta? What should we do to get the theta? So here we can just do, this is the 45. Now if vector for 110, what is the theta? What is the angle can we use? So the angle we use, it is clockwise. So the anti-clockwise, that is what the angle which you get from x direction. So the angle from x axis, starting from E anti-clockwise, the angle which you get, that is the angle which we are going to use. So example, here it is 45. So the angle which we use for 45 here, it is what? Starting from x until it touches what? This line. So the angle which we are going to use is what? 45. What about here, which are set degrees? So the angle which we are going to use, it is this. What about 120? The angle which we are going to use, it is this. I hope it's clear. So let me repeat what I'm saying. So I'm saying that here in vectors, the angle, how do you get the angle? So the angle is start from what? X axis. That is where we start reading the angles from x axis. So here we'll get 45. Here we'll get So here we get this angle here, and here we just get this angle. I hope it's clear. Let's start with our vector A. So we said this will be our A. So that will be our A. So here it is what? It is set degrees. Now we want this angle. We say we are starting from X. Here this is X. This is our vector A. It has 110 what? Newton. Then it has here 30 degrees. Right? Now, here vector point this side. This is the direction. Then the force is 110. So now we said the angle which we get is this. So what can we do to find the angle? So do 180 minus 30 degrees. So the answer will be what? It is 150 degrees. That is the answer. Now, how can we find our V, which is what we say vectors? Okay, we say the force. I will just represent by force. The component of force AX, because we say this will be our A. That's what we said. So this will be our A. So which is the force which have given us cos what? Cos theta. So the force which they have given us is what? It is 110 degrees cos theta. So the answer there is what? So when we 110 cos, so our theta should be here. We just replace. We have calculated is 150. So we just replace 150 degrees. So when you punch on the calculator, what is the answer? So what is the answer when you punch in the calculator? So it will give you negative what? 95.26 Newton. So that is what it will give you, 95.26 Newton. Let's go to F1, because the vector contains two components, which is X and the Y component. And then we'll just add the X component with the X component and the Y component with the Y component. So the Y component, we say it's force sin theta. So our Y component there for force, what is our force? Our force, it is 110. Then sine, what is our theta? It's 150. So when we calculate here, we punch on the calculator, it is giving you what? When you punch 110 sine 150, so it will give you 55. So 55 Newton. So please write this, take note of this. So that is our first component. So we said we just calculate all the components, then you add the X component and the Y component, then you find the resultant vector, even the direction, which is the theta. Yes. Let's go to the another vector. So another vector here, it is what? So here we have calculated. So we go to this vector. Yes. So this vector, when you see here, this vector, it's going this side, right? When it's going this side, this will be our vector B. Yes. So this is 45 degrees. So we say, how can you find? So we say F B X. So want the component which is F cos theta. So our force is what? So our force here is 100. So 100 cos. So our force is 100 cos. What is the theta? So we say we start from X here. So we start from X, which is 45. Which is, when you punch on the calculator, it will give you what? So it will give you 70.71 Newton. So that is our second component. Yes. Let's go to our Y component. So it is FBY. So our Y component, we say force sin theta. We just repeat the same thing. So force it is 100 sine what? Sine 45. So when you punch again on the calculator, it will give you the same thing. It will give you 70.71 Newton when you punch on the calculator. So take also note of this. After that, we just go to this component. Let's go to another component. So another one, it is 80 Newton, right? Now 80 Newton here, it just has what? It just moving in x component. So x component, so here will just be its vector what? Vector c. I will just say vector c here. So vector c here is for c x. It just has what? 80 what? 80 Newton, because it doesn't have any y, then displaced in y, because here when you look at these vectors, here it has this y, then it has also x. Now this vector only has what in x, which is 80 Newton. In y, it doesn't have in y, so which is 80 Newton. So let's go. So write that for vector c. Write that. Then we can even add, if you want, vector c y is equal to 0, because we don't have. Then you go to 160 here. 160 now. So for 160 here, this will be vector d. So what will be our angle? I like this because what will be our angle here? So just go, I said you just start from here. So I told you that what should you do with this? So just start from here. You go this side. So when you go this side, I said we start from x. Then you go, which is 180 plus what? Our theta is 180 plus 20. So it will be what? 200 degrees. So that is our theta, which is 180 plus 20, which is 200 degrees. Now, what is our x component here? So we write the same thing, which is force d x is equal to what? Force cos theta. So what is our force? Our force, it is 160. So cos what? So cos 200. So when you cos 200, the answer which will give you 160 cos 200, it will give you negative 150.85 Newton. Yes, like that. Let's go to the y component. F d y is equal to what? F sin theta. Yes, so which will give you f sin theta. So f, we know it's 160 sin 200. So when you do that, what are you going to have? So you are going to have negative 54.772. Yes, so that is what you are going to have. Yes, so now that is our FD1. Now what should we do now? Then we add all the components, all the answers which we have found. So we start with the x component. So let's start with the x component. We say the resultant of x component is equal to, so the first force ax plus force bx. So those are just the x component. Force cx plus force dx. So all the x components which are found, you just add them. So we the first one which we add is negative 95.26 plus 70.71 plus which is 80, then minus, which is, it was negative, so we say plus, which is negative what, 150.35, like that. So when you add them, it will give you what, negative 94.90 Newton. That will be the answer. Now we want to find the resultant in y also. So we go to the resultant in y, the component resultant in y. We just do the same thing. Force AY plus FBY. So those are the component in y. So FCY then plus FDY. So all the component, let's add them together, which is 55.00 plus 70.71 plus so plus it was FCY was 0, it gave us 0. So then we just FDY, which gave us negative 54.72. So what is the answer? So the answer will give you to be 70.99 Newton. Now the question is, how can you calculate the resultant for all those? What is the resultant? So now we know these two, the components, right? So the resultant, we just do the resultant is equal to, we square root, which is fx squared plus fy squared. So all the totals for x and all the total for y, we just insert them. So this will insert on that and this will insert on that. Yes. So the formula, which is the resultant is equal to the square root of force x squared plus force y squared. Then the final resultant will be what? Which is negative 94.90 Newton squared plus which is 70.99 squared. So now what will be the final resultant? So the final resultant, it will give you 1185 Newton. So that is the simple question and easy. Now what is the direction now? So I say the direction, it is what we call theta. So theta is a direction. And how can you find the direction? We just use even those total, because theta is equal to what? We say theta, we rent this tan inverse, which is, we say y over x. So all the component in y over the total component in x, that will be our theta. So what is the theta? What is the theta? So just write theta is equal to tan inverse, which will be the tan inverse of 70.99 over negative 94.90. So the theta or the direction, it will be what? Negative 36.9. So that is the answer for the theta. Now here the answer give us negative 36.9. So are we going to take negative? What does that mean? So the angle, which means the angle is below what? The x-axis. So where does theta becomes negative? So when you start, those who learned about trigonometry, they learned about all students take care the sign. Now here what you need to do when the angle give you, I will not go in detail on trigonometry, but I'll just give you what you should do here. So to make this angle to become what? The positive. So just do theta is equal to 180 We just subtract by 180 minus 36.9. Even if we reach a negative 36 point, yeah, they will mark you. Here, they will mark you. Here, when you reach here, they will mark you. But if you want to make this theta to be possible, just minus theta is equal to 180. 180 minus 36. So the final answer is what? It will give you 143.1. So that is the final answer. That is the gain. So you have found the resultant vector and also the direction. So I say the direction, it is theta. Yes.